Well, good morning. I'm Reverend Don. My pronouns are he and him. I'm one of our staff ministers here. And do you guys have any idea what you signed up for this morning by showing up here or online? All righty, that's what I wanted to hear. So I have a plan. I've been working on it. The divine has a plan. We'll see. Well, we know whose plan will eventually work. But, so we got some things to do this morning. And we're going to be talking about this month, and at CBEC, we're talking about learning to trust ourselves. The book of the month is this little gem. We have some downstairs if you're interested. From Tammy Keeves, Learning to Trust Yourself, Breaking Through the Blocks That Hold You Back. Good book. Got some good stuff. And today, my intention for today is to bring together some ideas around trusting ourselves and ways we can get there and our understanding of trust. And so I'm going to start off. I want to read a quote, read something that I think is very applicable to today. Trust, a journey of discovery. Oh, we trust ourselves all right. We trust ourselves to make a mistake, to miss the mark, to embarrass ourselves or others. Sometimes I trust myself so much that I have had a completely bad day and I've never gotten out of bed. Or before I got out of bed, actually. Oh, today, we're going to, like I said, we're going to explore trust and some ideas around trust that will hopefully support us in that journey, especially for you CBECers who are going to be immersed in self-trust for a whole week. Lucky you. But more about CBEC later. Okay. So trust, it's one of those things that it's a word that we use a lot, but I'm not sure we ever really get to understand. I know I wasn't trained in it, but I do know about it. And so I want to use a definition that I like for trust. And to get this from Charles Feltman, who wrote the Thin Book of Trust a long time ago, and Brene Brown used his work in creating her work. So here's what his trust definition is. Trust means a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, and or strength of someone or something. And that sounds kind of right to me, that it's trust in the firm belief about someone, something. But I want to change one of the words for today. Trust means a firm belief in my reliability, my truth, my ability, my strength, period. A little different, isn't it? We're shifting from what we've often talked about as trust outside of ourselves. Today we're shifting to the trust within ourselves. So I'm glad you're still here. And this is not easy. I've been working with this since I found out I was speaking today, and in various forms. And it's really been a journey. But let's go a little more into trust. Because here's what I believe about trust. I believe that we are wired through millenniums of humanness experiences. We are wired for trust. That there were benefits to trust in our ancient history. Things like inside the tribe, trust meant survival. When we grew tribal culture, trust of the tribe and the members in the tribe equaled, survival. It also meant safety, that you might live long enough to experience. So trust has this underlying history or belief system that's hardwired into us that supports us in trust. I believe it pulls us into trust. The challenge I have in that I had some pretty good training along the way And trust was never like today's topic. Trust was a trial and error kind of thing. And so what we're doing today is I want to bring that around a little bit and get some clarity there and set us up to support ourselves for trust. Because with trust, there's some questions that have to be asked if you want to be able to trust. They're important questions. They're questions like, who? They're questions like, where? Where can I trust? Who can I trust? How can I trust? They're questions of, when can I trust? All of these simple questions are important in the experience and exploration and building our own sense of trust. Because all those questions are also, normally we ask them about outward. Well, today we're asking those questions inward. When can I trust myself? The who is pretty straightforward. Can I trust myself? Where can I trust myself? When can I trust myself? All of that we'll talk about, and I promise we'll still get out on time. So, I was told as a minister, you never keep people from the coffee and the cookies. And especially on first service, the potluck. So, we're still there. I honor that. So I believe, and if you believe that idea that trust is something that we're wired for, and there are questions that work with trust to help us, we're in the right place together. And so let's go on this journey a bit, because when I shared that, what I wrote, that I've had days where I've had a really bad day and I still haven't gotten up yet, and it's still early. That's me kind of trusting myself for all the things I said in that I'm just going to mess it up today. And yet, I still got up. For the last, 5 weeks, I was having one of those days. Literally, I was getting up, I was chopping water and carrying wood all day long. A few of you, you were paying attention. And just feeling like I wasn't going nowhere. It was just a malaise, I would call it now. I had this period of time where I was just kind of starting to go inside and say, okay, what the heck is wrong? Is it this medication I have to take? Did I eat something that's messing with me? Did I not sleep well? I'm just running all the causes that are external to myself, pretty much, as to why I'm in this condition, why I'm having this experience. Because it's not my normal way of being. And trust, it's questioning my trust in myself. Now, last week, Iman Jamal shared about how we build our relationship with the divine in ourselves, between the divine and ourselves. And in that, he had some really, you got to listen to him, because he makes you laugh, and then he sneaks something in while you're laughing, which is exactly what I do, okay? So we're brothers in spirit there. And he came to the point toward the end that he started talking about our own work and the need for compassionate self-awareness. And I was sitting back there in the back where Richie and Andy are sitting, and I'm listening in here, and they said that, and I kind of go, I think that's pretty profound. And then last Sunday was men's group Sunday, and we were doing self-trust in the men's group right across the street, first Sunday of the month. And that was our topic. And I brought in, and everyone joined in the idea of that compassionate self-awareness and applying it to working with trusting ourselves. It shifted the whole conversation. It was a gift from Brother Jamal to me and to the men's group and to all of us. A few days later, I noticed that I liked it so much, I was actually practicing compassionate self-awareness. I really highly recommend it. And I began to realize that what I was doing, I was looking for causes for what was going on in my life. And then I realized with this compassionate self-awareness, I can take a stand right here, right now, and instead of looking outward, I can say, what is it that I want right now? What do I want to experience? How do I want my life? What do I want to be back to? I remember. And with that compassionate self-awareness, I didn't have to go fix anything. I could look and do a query and say, what's missing today? One of my values, and it's really important to me, particularly business and life and ministry, is engagement. And I recognize that I had lost my engagement with my work. And without engagement, I was kind of chopping water and carrying wood. And it's like, okay, I can use this new information and look, how can I reactivate my engagement? One of the things I like about Tama's book, the Learning to Trust Yourself, is she points out repeatedly that and gave us permission to choose again. We are not limited to one choice, make it or break it. She talks about how we can choose again. So at that realization of I've lost my engagement, I chose again to get back engaged. And things began to shift. I actually got it right. I started chopping wood and carrying water, got it in the right order. I started having a different experience about my work. I regained my trust in my abilities in my work. And that's part of how I would like us to explore this today, is to keep in mind that we have the opportunity to build our own trust within us and between us. So with the idea of the compassionate self-awareness, what that looks like is that, like with me, I came into this research, or instead of doing a research project about the history of how I got to feeling this way, I came to a place where I got to just stand in today and decide how I want it, choose again. I could choose engagement. I could choose my focus. I could reset myself, if you will. And I did that by being curious, because inside of this compassionate self-awareness, there's room for curiosity. Curiosity works really well in trust as well. To be curious about what the dynamic is in a trust situation is a good place to bring curiosity, and also in looking at ourselves. I was able to bring kindness to myself in this space of compassion. I could be more who I was, and I could then ask for support, which is very important in our journeys as humans. And all of this talk about this with trust is, oftentimes I don't think people share enough of that we are, here's what we talk about. We are human beings having a spiritual experience, or we're spiritual beings having a human experience. You notice there's humans on both sides. We are having human experiences, and we ought to honor those experiences and be our humanness. So that means I'm going to have bad days. That means I'm going to have some challenges. There's going to be places I might not want to do, but I can use my spiritual practice. I can use these ideas to make the best of my human experiences. With that, I can build a foundation of trust. The foundation of trust is something we build by asking the questions of who we trust, how we trust, where we trust, when. Each time we trust ourselves or someone else, and it works out, we go yay, and we lay another piece of the foundation. When it doesn't work out, we go yay, and we weigh and lay another piece of the foundation. Trust is a journey. It's a dynamic. It's something that we're building each and every day between ourselves and between others, but especially within ourselves. So each time we recognize that we have trusted ourselves or chosen not to, then we are building that foundation. I know that, well, here's another example. You ever surprised yourself about pulling something off? That might not be the right word. Have you ever been surprised yourself about your success? How about that? Isn't that a block for your foundation of trust? You trusted yourself. You took it on and you did it. And that becomes part of your trust foundation. I can stand on my learning in trust, even and also from the ones where it didn't work out. Matter of fact, what does they say? You really learn. You don't learn from your successes. You learn from your failures. Yeah, been there, done that. That's true. And that doesn't and I don't think you have to go look for failures. Okay, but if you're going to have one, learn from it. So it's that creating a space, a foundation, so that we can begin to really explore what self-trust means to us. Now, as a human, we have a tendency towards wanting to trust all the time, because we were programmed for that. Trust equals good. Well, there are some really good reasons to not trust. And anybody, well, just whisper to your neighbor a good reason to not trust. Here's some. During my 5-week malaise, I was tired. I look back, I didn't have the energy that I wanted, probably because I wasn't engaged, but anyway, I was tired. If you're tired, your tanks are low, your energy level's low. That's a time for me, that's one of those good times not to make the choice about trust. That's a risk time. Wait for when you have all your resources, when you feel resource, to make your decision to trust or not. That's one of the times when it's a good time to wait, to not choose. If you're feeling pressured, that's one of the times I've learned from experience. This is not the time to make that choice. And wait for the time when you have the space, the space, to be able to make that evaluation about trust with a little more clarity, a little more openness to your own, what's inside of you. I've also noticed that sometimes there's not enough data and then there's way too much data. Data is just data. It's information. It's something to use as a tool. But we take that data in and we look at it and say, okay, if I'm not tired, if I'm not pressured, and I have this information, then I can ask some more questions. Is this when I should trust? Is this where? How? And if I am going to trust, how am I going to trust? And what for am I going to trust them? These are questions that are part of this equation that's usually in the fine print. We don't put them up front where they belong. And encourage you to take the time to ask those questions to make sure you are in your best shape to be able to make that choice of trust. And that's whether you're trusting yourself or whether you're trusting outside yourself. And I think it's really important for trusting ourselves. Because I know somebody actually after first service came back and said, there's another time you might want to hesitate on making a trust or making that decision. It's when you're on an emotional edge. A whole lot of, really happy or really not happy. And think about it. When you're really happy, it's rose-colored glasses and the world looks fun and you just say yes without regard to what's going to happen next. Anybody besides me done that? Okay. And if you're down, the world kind of looks like I can't trust the world. I'm going to trust me, and I'm sure I ain't trusting you. So it's just that self-awareness, not that we're bad, broken, wrong. It's just we're aware of where we are today and what we are trustworthy for. If I'm tired and pressured, I'm not trustworthy to make my own decision. And I hope I remember that. And I use a spiritual practice to build that awareness so that I can make those choices from a better place and choose the choice being, do I trust or not trust? Those are the choice I'm talking about. And Then, let's say we really are interested in trusting. What are the good reasons to want to trust? What's the part? How do you work that into yourself? How do you use your resources? One, if you think trusting's worth it, look at a question about support. What kind of support do I need to be able to take this trust journey? Now, this support can come from a prayer partner. It can come from just doing prayer, asking for prayer support from our practitioners. Come from a good friend. It can come from doing your own research. But the idea, if we want to choose to trust, do it with full consciousness and ask the questions and see what support you need to make this trust journey up front. And also with ourselves. If you're going to want to trust yourself into some new endeavor, get support. I'm going to take an aside here about prayer. I always talk about our prayer requests. We have multiple ways. You can click and submit a prayer request. You can call and submit a prayer request. You can submit one in the box in the back, a prayer request. You have one of these cards. The cards are in the back of the seat. You can get prayer support in a prayer circle. You can get prayer one-on-one with practitioners and ministers. There's all kinds of ways to get prayer support. But I realized this morning, I was thinking about it, like, has anybody ever told you how to write a prayer request? Some of us have. But I remember a blank page being really scary. So a prayer request for trust. Here's a suggestion. I welcome all that I need for my self-trust. I welcome all that I need for my self-trust. I welcome all that I need for my self-trust. You write that as a prayer request and give it to our practitioners who have spent years in learning how to pray, how to understand the prayer requests. And they will take that and run with that thing in many, many ways to support you in receiving what you need from the divine to be able to find that self-trust you're looking for. Prayers, some prayers are flowery, a lot of words. That's like, 7, 8? Straight and to the point. You want to write a prayer request? It will gladly help you write that prayer request, but short and simple are really, really good. The other is effectively, or what you're effectively doing when you do a prayer request, is you're recognizing that I need a little more support. My tank's a little low, or my trust tank is a little low. I need some support. So I'm going to do a prayer request, which is effectively borrowing from someone, a practitioner who's got full tanks of the divine, to support you in your building your trust. You're going to borrow some of their trust in the divine to work with your trust in yourself. It sounds crazy, but it works. You can borrow trust. We can support each other. If I've got plenty, I'll share. Between my wife and I, if I'm having a day, I can ask and borrow her trust to get through to what's next. So it's a journey. It's a community. It's a way we can do this together that brings more into our resources and allows us to be able to do more and to find that place. So to wrap this together, again, what I believe is what I wrote, that we have the ability to trust. That's not something we have to learn. It's within us. What I invite us to do is to begin to explore how we can do that in ways that serve us and support us, to find a deeper self-trust, to be able to understand trust relationships in the world. And we do that by being aware, by practicing that compassionate awareness for ourselves as part of a process of becoming then more able to trust ourselves, which will allow us to move around the circle and trust the divine And as we build that sense of trust and lay our foundation of ourself and the divine, then we have more clarity about how we can choose who, where, when, how, why in the world. This is a process, it's dynamic. And whatever, at this moment, everybody might be nodding their head and saying, yeah, I got it. Guess what? Tomorrow, sun's going to come up and something new is going to pop up, and we're going to get a chance to do this whole thing all over again, except not here amongst our friends, but just one-on-one with life. Building the foundation, doing the spiritual practice. And remember, spiritual practice is whatever practice you will do, use it to support yourself in building that inner trust, building your trust in the divine, and seeing how that works in your world. Let's pray. Om, that word, the interconnectedness of all of life. Shakti, the peace, the tranquility. That place is available to us, that place we can call on to step into when we have decisions to make, challenges to face, questions, or just want to be at peace. But in that knowingness that we can call on the divine, that we can speak our word, to make a request, to ask for prayer support, to become compassionate, self-aware, that we can begin a journey that will allow us to deepen our sense of self-trust, our understanding of our innate value, and the gift that we bring into this world. For in creating a world that works for all, we need people that can trust themselves, can trust God, and make good choices about trusting the world. I know that we can do that. And if you agree with me and want to affirm this prayer, say it with me, and so it is. Thank you.